COVID-19 has infected more than 3.2 million people and killed at least 227,000 worldwide. The U.S. has more than 1 million cases, including at least 60,000 deaths. There are hopes of a possible treatment for COVID-19. Gilead Sciences says data from trials conducted with remdesivir, a new treatment drug, have been positive so far. South Korea says it recorded no new domestically transmitted cases of COVID-19 on Wednesday. It's a major milestone for the country, which had been among the worst affected by COVID-19. India says millions of people stranded by a nationwide lockdown can now return to their home states. The Senate has approved President Muhammadu Buhari's request to raise a fresh loan of 850 billion naira from the domestic capital market to finance projects in the 2020 budget. Well, joining me via Skype to discuss this from Kaduna is Public Affairs Analyst Jackden. Thank you for joining us on the news. Now, aside this 850 billion naira that the government is borrowing, Nigeria has also started withdrawing its savings from the IMF. And as you know, that the price in oil price is also crashing. I wonder if you have concerns with all of this happening to the economy at this point.
Certainly not for Nigeria. I mean, at which the whole thing was done is something that I find very interesting. But to go back to your question, the ever need to diversify our economy instead of leaving our economy to international nuances is forever more needed now than it has ever been. As it were, you and I know that the price of oil is what it is today. Sadly, we are still battling the COVID-19 problem in Nigeria. And now we are further mortgaging our future. The future of our children, I'm afraid, statistics indicate that come 2024, if nothing is done about the debt burden of Nigeria, we will be using about 75% of our GDP to see that we service debt. You know, we are going back to where we were some 20 years ago. Subsequent administrations, all they did was gave excuses that because we were repaying our debt, there was nothing that could be done as far as infrastructural development was concerned. Obasanjo was able to get a debt relief for us, and sadly, we are right back to where we used to be. I quite don't understand why you will tell me you want to borrow for infrastructure. This infrastructure is where we quite don't even know what they are. And later, we will now be repaying debt back for infrastructure that was not, delivered. I find it most worrying.
All right. From what the government has said, this money is meant for capital projects in the 2020 budget. What will be priority areas? We have found ourselves where we are now. What will be priority areas that you would want the government to concentrate on?
Well, I would want the government to concentrate on industrialization, because if you're going to borrow money, you must make sure that whatever you're investing that money into is something that can repay back the loan. Do we borrow money to pay salaries? Do we borrow money to build roads just to have fine cities? Do we borrow money to put up gigantic projects that most times we don't even see the need as far as the common man is concerned? Industrialization, agriculture, the need to diversify the economy are issues where if we must borrow, it should go into such places.
And talking diversification, a lot of persons have come up with different ideologies or terms with regards to diversification. When we say diversification, from your point of view, how would you want the government to address it now that we are beginning to open up the economy gradually?
Well, talking about opening up the economy, is it time we open our borders? Yes, I think it's about same. But government needs to take concerted effort. More than ever before, we need to really sit down and give this its pride of place. If we're looking at agriculture, can we go the long haul? Can we see that we have so many unemployed youths in Nigeria? Agriculture is a gold mine. I can assure you that if government puts in the necessary incentives into this sector, we will employ a large chunk of our unemployed youths. Of course, industrialization, as it were, is something that we also cannot afford to overlook, because we need to see that instead of being an import-dependent economy, there is so much that Nigeria as a nation can also give to the world. I mean, as we speak, Nigeria has given so much to the world in terms of human capacity. But it's about time too, when it comes to issues that bother on manufacturing and what have you, that we play pride of place.
All right, Alpha Jackden, thank you for speaking with us.